YouTube. Hey, what's going on, y'all? Kai here checking in with another video. Hey, in this video right here, we back with Swamp Stories again, right? This time, this nigga say MS-13 is taking over New York. This is bad news, and here's why the police can't stop him. MS-13 in New York? Since when? Like, that's... Since when? All the Spanish gangs gonna let MS come through? That's crazy.
Welcome back to another episode of Swamp Stories. For this video, we dive into a story that I'm surprised no one has covered. The state of New York has a major problem that many residents...
He a funny nigga though. This nigga might say New York and be talking in like Buffalo or like Rochester or somewhere far, and he ain't talking about the city part like I did in the DMV. This nigga said the DMV, then this nigga said somewhere far. What you say? Fairfax, like Virginia. That's fucking an hour or something away, bro. It's not DC, like.
May not be aware of. But hey, that's why I'm here to break down the history, how it started, and what's currently going on in the streets of New York. But before we get into it, please...
New York City? Like, we talking about the boroughs? Or we talking about upstate?
Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're new. You can also follow the Instagram page as well. So let's get into it. The story begins in the suburbs of New York City. However, these aren't your typical American suburbs, at least not today. The area I'm talking about is everything east of Queens, which is known as Long Island. Long Island consists of the large Nassau and Suffolk counties. Historically, these were built as middle-class suburbs for those who wanted a peaceful life. The area was mostly
Long
Island consists of the large...
This nigga talking about Long Island, bruh. See, he always do this funny shit. Like, he always do it.
Nassau and Suffolk counties. Historically, these were built as middle-class suburbs for those who wanted a peaceful life. The area was mostly home to NYPD, firemen, teachers, and most blue-collar jobs. So while it wasn't exactly wealthy, it definitely was quiet and peaceful. I kid you not, Suffolk and Nassau counties virtually had zero crime for decades and decades. It always served as the affordable escape from the wild streets of New York City. However, today, things have become the total opposite. New York City is exceptionally safe, and Long Island is where everything is going down. In fact, the formerly safe suburbs are now some of the most dangerous places anyone can be. Police attribute this to one group and one group only, and that takes us back to some important history. For those who are unfamiliar, starting in 1979, thousands of Salvadorian refugees immigrated to America. The vast majority settled in LA, specifically the Pico and Rampart neighborhoods. Well, after arriving, many of the young men ran into issues with local crews. So for their protection, a small crew of 10 Salvadorians created MS-13. Throughout the years, MS kept growing larger and larger and gained a wild reputation. Their goal was to take over as much territory as needed and to cause a whole lot of chaos. Well, a couple years after their formation, another crew of Salvadorians formed as well. This would be the infamous 18th Street, and as you would expect, these guys became major rivals. According to LAPD, these two were by far the most feared in Los Angeles. Well, throughout the 80s and 90s, as MS-13 and 18th Street members would go back to El Salvador, it began spreading like a wildfire. Quickly, the two sides took over the country, and it's been like that ever since. Okay, at this point, you may be thinking, what does this have to do with New York? But just hold on, trust me. For whatever reason, starting in the 2000s, Long Island became a major destination for Salvadorians. The vast majority of these families came over to work hard and lead productive.
Inside King's Dominion lies Jungle Expedition, an area that's exciting local species. Watch them get wild.
Lives. But at the same time, quite a few MS members came over as well. Throughout the first few years, they established multiple MS cliques on Long Island, and right off the bat, they got into a major rivalry with the infamous Latin Kings. I actually covered this in a previous video. But in this video, we focus on the current generation where things are infinitely worse. And here's how it all began. Around the year 2013, 18th Street members began popping up on Long Island. This was bad news for the community because
How the fuck they get from California all the way to Long Island?
MS was not too thrilled. Once their national leader named Paco heard of this, he wanted them to send a message. 18th Street does not belong on Long Island. This is our territory. So beginning in 2015, suspected 18th Street members were now in imminent danger. Even being seen with an 18th Street member would put your life at risk. And that takes us to our first story. The story begins with a young man named Oscar Acosta. Oscar was born and raised in El Salvador and had deep family ties to MS-13. However, during his teenage years, his family moved to the city of Brentwood, New York. This was an opportunity for Oscar and his family to escape the madness and leave it behind. Well, that's exactly what they did, as Oscar's parents got jobs and he enrolled in school. When he arrived though, he spoke no English, which was definitely a challenge. However, once he got to Brentwood High, he became friends with two teenagers in the same situation. Oscar and his new friends would hang out in high school and would even remain best friends after graduation in 2014. Now this may sound all good and dandy until you hear the unfortunate aspect. It just so happens that Oscar's friends were members of 18th Street. To them, they simply saw each other as friends. But according to the codes of their respective sides, what they were doing was far, far against the rules.
Oh, Shorty was MS-13 and they was 18.
Well,
They probably looking at it like, bro, we all Spanish, bro. Like, fuck all that gang shit. Like,
for the first couple of years, they remained under the radar, but then the MS leaders found out. The leaders called on the Sailors clique of MS who cover the Brentwood and Suffolk areas. So the Sailors decide to lure Oscar with an undercover member. The undercover member is told to meet up with him to make a deal. And from there, his fellow MS members come to do what they do. April 29th, 2016, 5 p.m. The undercover Sailors member meets up with Oscar in a remote parking lot near the woods. The man and Oscar talk in their car while two Sailors members creep up from behind. These would be Nelson Argueta and Jairo Cyans. Together, they pull Oscar out of the car and walk him into the woods. That's when they make their devastating decision. Oscar would not be found for a while, and missing signs would be posted all over Brentwood.
A mother's beside herself tonight over a missing 19-year-old son. Oscar Acosta disappeared 2 weeks ago. Police believe it's suspicious. Eyewitness News reporter Carolina Lead has more from Brentwood.
Each night, Maria Arias leaves her Brentwood home, going from business to business, neighbor to neighbor, putting up flyers with family members hoping to find her only son. 19-year-old Oscar Acosta walked out of his home on Thomas Street 11 days ago. No money, no bags, and his mom says no reason to run away.
Que no puedo dormir.
Maria says she can't sleep, wondering what happened to her son. The high school senior told his cousin he was going to a nearby park in Brentwood to play soccer. He hasn't been seen since.
The only people who knew what happened was the MS leader who called for it and all of the Sailors members. Well, everything remained unsolved for quite a few months. However, the MS leaders began getting paranoid, believing that a member named Jose Pena was going to snitch. So in just a month, Jose became the target of his own crew. Here is where things get crazy. June 3rd, 2016. Jose Pena gets a call from his fellow member named Carlos Argueta. Carlos tells him that he's gonna pick him up so they can go hang out with a fellow member named Smiley. So Carlos picks up Jose and takes him to the same exact parking lot where they did you know what a month prior. Jose is definitely confused, but he doesn't say anything about it. Jose and his fellow members sit in the car and talk for a little while, but then his friends demand him to get out of the car. They then walk him into the bushes and do what they do. The members leave him in the same bushes they left Oscar a month prior. And now you had missing Oscar and missing Jose signs posted all over the streets of Brentwood. Because these happened so soon, police opened a major investigation. At this point, they had no leads for Oscar, but they were piecing things together for Jose. After tapping his phone records, they found out exactly where he was. So in the first week of October, police began scouring through the woods. On October 7th, they found the bodies of Jose Pena and Oscar Acosta.
These stupid niggas put both of them niggas in the same exact location. These niggas is idiots, bruh.
So essentially, their own paranoia is what got them wrapped in the end. However, no arrests would be made for over a year, and the crew would continue. The Long Island community and the police were very concerned. So right after their discovery, they held a major press conference to address the issues. They explained that this is an extremely difficult situation for two reasons. Number one, the majority of people involved do not have American addresses, making it extremely hard to locate them. And number two, for the most part, the members don't even know the individuals they're targeting. It's all based on assumed affiliations. For these reasons, police knew that they had their hands full. Coincidentally, right after this press conference, MS would strike again. The MS leaders were focused on any 18th Street members who were lingering in the Brentwood area. And for whatever reason, they had their eyes set on a young man named Javier Castillo. Javier was suspected of being an 18th Street member from social media posts, but that's all they knew. Regardless, the call was made from the MS leaders. So a Sailor's MS member contacted Javier on Instagram and asked him to hang out. Javier, who was brand new to the area, agreed to hang out with the member.
What you never do, you never go out your way to try to find friends, bruh. Shorty just realized that his ass backdoored, like, and that'd just be the sad part, cause like, people be coming to new situations and they just looking for somebody to call a companion.
October 10th, 2016. 4 undercover MS members go to pick up Javier in Central Island. These would be Alexi Sáenz, his little brother Jairo Sáenz, Wilber Vasquez, and Frank Ramirez. At 1 p.m. they arrive.
Bro, y'all got these old ass niggas with y'all. Y'all two niggas is little kids. Y'all got these old ass niggas, bro. And just like, y'all coming to set up another little ass kid.
At his house and he hops in the car. The members then pretend to be his friend as they head down Highway 27. They keep going for 40 minutes until they reach the city of Freeport. They pull into Cow Meadows Park, a giant field of grass that leads into marshland. They park the car, tell him to get out, and lead him into the field. Once they get to the marshland, they tell him to turn around. Missing signs would go up all over the Central Island area, but this would go unsolved for over a year. But in the underworld, the Sáenz brothers became the most feared in the streets. Police say that this wasn't their first, second, third, fourth, or fifth time doing this. And sadly, 3 days later would be their 6th. October 13th, 2016.
Damn, these niggas, ho. They out this joint stepping on niggas like that?
It's a regular Thursday afternoon in Brentwood, and the Sáenz brothers are cruising down American Boulevard. While cruising down the street, they notice a man in a red t-shirt. This would be a random 34-year-old resident named Dewan Stacks. The Sáenz brothers had recently gotten to it with a blood set in Brentwood, so they assumed that Dewan is a part of this. So the members instantly stop the car, hop out, and walk up to him. Without saying a single word, the Sáenz brothers then hop in their car and speed away. This incident was devastating, especially because Dewan was a regular upstanding citizen. Sadly though, the Sáenz brothers did not care, and this behavior would continue. January 30th, 2017. It's an early afternoon in the city of Central Island, located right east of Brentwood. On this freezing cold day, a man named Esteban Bonilla is ordering food at his local deli. While in line, Esteban wears his favorite football jersey, Peyton Manning number 18. Well, coincidentally, the Science brothers walk in the deli behind him. Once they notice his jersey, they believe that he's an 18th Street member. So the Science brothers look at each other, nod, and walk back to the car. They then grab their tool and walk back into the deli. And without saying a word,
So these niggas realize just how this bitch is killing anybody. Like, that's 8 bodies right there.
at this point, things were getting ridiculous, and I'm not even sure what to say. Thankfully, the police and Suffolk County District Attorney felt the same way. So after this incident, they funded a major investigation into MS. After tracking phone records, they were able to tie the Science brothers to all kinds of incidents. And in addition, they were able to grab up 5 of their associates as well. On March 2nd, 2017, the Science brothers and 5 sailors associates were arrested for dozens of incidents. This was great news for Long Island, and police were definitely proud. However, they had left someone very important behind. Let me introduce you to a woman named Lenise Escobar, commonly known as La Diablita. Lenise was born and raised in El Salvador, but moved to Brentwood, New York as a teenager. Growing up, Lenise's family was full of MS members, so naturally that's the path she took. During her high school years, Lenise became an official member of the Sailors MS-13. Over the years, she gained the reputation as one of the most feared MS members. She was known as the type of member who takes the smallest incident way too far. And that takes us to March of 2017. While scrolling through Instagram, Lenise saw something that she didn't like. She saw a picture of 4 young men throwing up what looks to be MS signs. The only problem was that the picture was tagged in Brentwood and she had never seen them before. So Lenise screenshotted the picture and sent it to the MS leader.
So she like, these niggas false flagging. Who the fuck is these niggas? It be a lot of that shit going on. Like, a lot of that shit going on.
Nobody knew who they were, and this made Lenise's blood boil. She took this post as mockery and extremely disrespectful. For Lenise, this made them a major target, and she got on it right away. So in typical MS fashion, she decided to lure them in. During the first week of April, Lenise decided to message the man who posted the picture. She pretended to like him and even invited him and his friends to hang out with her and hers. The plan was for
Now you see these
like
niggas?
him and even invited him and his
Shorty over here with the tan pants. These niggas is all, bruh.
friends to hang out with her and hers. The plan was for everyone to meet up at a park on the following
These young niggas, 4'11", all killing each other.
Tuesday. The man agreed and his friends were excited to make this happen. The day finally comes, April 11th, 2017. It's a Tuesday evening and the 4 young men are excited to link with Lenise and her friends. So the guys get ready and she drops her
Hey, they think they about to get some cheeks.
location at the Central Islet Park. At 6 p.m., the 4 guys drive out to the location expecting a great time. They arrive to the park and it's just Lenise by herself. Strange, but maybe her friends are on the way. So the 4 guys get out of the car and walk up to greet Lenise. Once they approach her, 12 MS members come out of the bushes. They then direct the 4 men into the woods. Lenise and the MS members surround them and make their decision. This occurred just a month after the previous takedown and the community was furious. As it turns out, the 4 young men were simply clowning around on social media. There was absolutely no reason for Lenise and her squad to take it this far, but thankfully everyone involved was arrested as police simply had to check the phones of the 4 men. When the specifics hit the news, it was one of the most shocking things that Long Island had ever seen. On top of this, it made the mainstream news, which put major pressure on the DA to close the case. As a result, Lenise Escobar and her 12 associates were all sentenced to life in prison.
Escobar showed no emotion as she learned her.
So y'all niggas killed 4 niggas and get a life sentence. 12 niggas or 13 niggas, y'all just all get life sentences. Bruh. Behind a gang. Y'all did all that for a game.
fate.
So this some of the goofiest shit that's what I'm saying. Like, bro, it's nobody's independent thinkers. Like, it's all goofy niggas, all goofy or goofy time.
She is, I would have to say stoic.
Escobar, also known as Diablita or Little Devil, was accused of luring 4 young men to their on April 11th in 2017. She, along with Kaylee Gomez, were allegedly the bait to bring Justin Livacura, Jeffersonville.
And this is why y'all on social media, y'all can't just be niggas. Niggas, stop going for all the females that hey, jumping them DMs. Stop it, bro. Stop it. If Shorty look like she out of your league, bro, like she don't need to be fucking with you. You don't need to be a part of that. For real, cause that shit crazy.
Lobos, Michael Lopez Benega.
I hate the backdoor shit. Like, I hate when a motherfucker backdoor you, like.
Right into the woods. Phone
Good
conversations
kids.
between Escobar and her high-ranking MS-13 member boyfriend Jeffrey Amador were played.
You see what I'm saying? Look at this nigga right here and look at them kids. Look at this nigga right here and look at them kids, bruh.
High-ranking MS-13 member boyfriend Jeffrey Amador were played in court.
No, I did it myself. Como te estoy diciendo, I did it myself. So ahora me toca a mí.
In those calls, Escobar also told her boyfriend she was really happy she brought them there.
Yeah, yo vine, yep, yo hice todo. I brought them here.
This was one of the craziest and most gut-wrenching stories in Long Island history. But on a positive note, after these 2 takedowns, things began to really slow down on Long Island.
I don't say nearly 100 members.
Positive note, after these 2 takedowns, things began to really slow down on Long Island. However, dealing with MS-13 is like a giant game of whack-a-mole. You take down one click and boom, another pops up out of nowhere.
For sure.
In this case, MS-13 began
They in
popping up in
Queens
the
now?
Elmhurst neighborhood of Queens. Historically, Elmhurst was controlled by the infamous Latin Kings, so when MS moved in, they knew that this is who they needed to deal with. Headed by a man named Oscar Flores, MS began searching the area for King's members. For a while, they couldn't find anyone, but then Oscar ran across something on social media. A local young man in Queens who had just gotten a crown tattoo on his chest. As you know, the crown can signify the Latin Kings, but it can also signify anything else. The young man in the picture is Andy Peralta, a
Nigga put LeBron James up there.
senior ready to graduate from Newton High School. Andy was not in fact a Latin Kings member, he simply liked the aesthetic of the tattoo.
I mean, yeah, you know the Migos, you know, they get them crowns, bro. Now only gotta be Latin Kings, like.
But because Andy was located in
That ain't got nothing
Elmhurst,
to do with no
Oscar
Latin
assumed
Kings.
that he was a member. So in typical MS fashion, Oscar decided to use the luring tactic. He sent a DM to Andy pretending to want to be his friend. From there, they built a relationship and
Backdoor.
Oscar invited him to go hang out. Andy was excited to meet Oscar and his friends at the local Casena Park, April 23rd, 20.
That's crazy, bro. Like, it's just sad to see, like. It's just sad to see, like, people that's just so earning for, like, friends, like, friendship, like, being accepted. And they just be in situations, like, they don't even know that they're going into their demise. That's probably the most harshest shit. Like, I know in, like, them courts, like, in them courtrooms, like, the judges probably, like, y'all did this shit, and the people that y'all like did stuff to, like, they don't even know that they was going to their demise. Like, it's like, how sick are you? Like, that's a real life sick individual.
18. It's a regular Monday
Random,
afternoon.
like random. That shit random. Like random people. Like, you like, damn. Like, I ain't got nothing to do with none of this shit that y'all niggas got going on. You don't even know me. It's your first time you ever talking to me was on social media. Hey, you wanna go play soccer? Or for them, you want to go play football? Come on. I ain't even reach out to you. You reach out to me.
after school, and Andy heads over to the Casena Park to meet up with his new friend. He arrives at 4 p.m. and sends Oscar his exact location. Oscar is nowhere to be found and he's not responding, so Andy decides to go sit on a bench. At 4:45, Oscar finally arrives and he pulls up with two friends. And without even saying a word, he simply walks up to Andy. Directly after doing this, Oscar Flores posted multiple selfies on Instagram celebrating what he had done. He even posted a picture of the news article and put celebration emojis. However, no one reported this and NYPD did not know where to look. Because of this, the madness would continue. Oscar's clique was locked in on taking the Elmhurst area from the Latin Kings. In the fall of 2018, they would make a devastating choice. November 4th, 2018, MS members Douglas Ari.
We're reinventing our network so you can deliver even more to your customers.
I have actually been a customer of BetterHelp for a little over 2 years now, and I was able to get matched up with a therapist.
Yano and Jairo Garcia are driving through the Flushing area of Queens. While driving down 163rd, they notice a man walking down the street in a yellow shirt. The members instantly assume that he's a Latin king, so they hop out of the car. They then walk up to the man and without saying a word, As it turns out, Victor was not a Latin Kings member, he just so happened to be wearing a yellow shirt. This was yet another story of mistaken identity. The two members responsible would not be arrested just yet. However, the next incident would be led by two separate men, and the target would not be a member of the Latin Kings, rather the good old 18th Street. February 3rd, 2019. An 18th Street associate named Abel Masso was waiting for the train at the 90th Street station. At 2:30 p.m., the 7 train finally arrives, so Abel gets up to walk on the train. But right there are two MS members who instantly grab him. However, Abel is much stronger and is able to wrestle them away. He then gets up and tries to run down the stairs, but that's when one of the MS members trips him and they both pounce on top. Directly after doing this,
in a train station with cameras, like, what the fuck? Like, bruh, what?
the members slowly walk down the train station screaming MS. This was their way of letting Queens know who's in town. Once this broke the news, everyone was terrified, except for one man in particular. This would be Abel Masso's brother, who was destined to get revenge. December 9th, 2019. Misael Masso drives around Corona, Queens looking for any members he can find. At 12:36 p.m., he spots an MS member on 103rd and Roosevelt, so he instantly hops out and sprints across the street. This was a bold move, as it was the very first incident targeting MS in Queens. Because of this, many were fearful that MS would retaliate in a major way. But 3 days later, Misael Masso would be arrested, pretty much putting an end to that. Instead, the Queens MS would engage in something very strange, way against their own codes of conduct. September 6, 2020. It's a Sunday morning and two MS members wake up after a long night out. The previous night, the two members had gotten into an argument which led to an altercation at the club. According to reports, member Eric Monge got the best of Oscar Hernandez. And after waking up, Oscar Hernandez is not too happy. He spends the day resting and thinking about what he can do to get revenge on his fellow member. At 5 p.m., he finally comes to his conclusion. He drives to Eric Monge's house and decides to wait for him outside. At 6 p.m., Eric double parks in front of his house and lets his wife and kids out to go inside. He then drives around the block looking for parking. That's when his fellow member Oscar follows him at a distance. Eric finally finds a parking spot on Parsons Boulevard, and that's when Oscar pulls beside him. He rolls down the window, looks at his friend, and bang!
Backdoored him.
Oscar Hernandez would not be arrested for quite a few years. And from what I would assume, what he did probably didn't go over so well with MS. Regardless, MS in Queens would be quiet for the next couple years. And that takes us right back to Long Island. Yes, after the major takedowns in 2017, things would be really quiet. But in this game of whack-a-mole, everything seems to come back around. One man would single-handedly ruin the quiet streak on Long Island. Let me introduce you to Gerson Hernandez, a feared MS member and El Salvador resident. Gerson was feared in El Salvador, but now he wanted to make a name for himself in New York. It all began on July 13th, 2022. It's a random Wednesday afternoon and Gerson is driving around Uniondale looking for 18th Street or Latin Kings members. After driving around for an hour, he can't find anyone. Then at 3 p.m., he notices a man in a gray sweatshirt sitting at Uniondale Park. He believes the man is 18th Street, so he instantly calls up his friends and tells them to meet him there. At 3:25, his friends arrive and together...
Know how I'm gonna get the final emerald?
How you gonna get it?
How I did is that I needed to complete it on the hardest puzzle yet.
So you did it?
Yeah. Then I saw this thing coming up. It's a giant statue to get the Titan. Then when I got the Titan, Amy's like, "You did it! Now I can go get that Titan." And then she said, "This is the final showdown."
Oh my god.
Yeah, until I go to a different island.
So you go to a different island?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Hold on, son. Let Daddy finish this.
Okay.
They walk up to the man, and without even saying a word, Gerson makes his decision. As it turns out, Walter was not a member of 18th Street, and he was simply getting air before going to work. The terrible incident was a bad sign on Long Island, as residents did not want to see this return. Sadly, Gerson Hernandez was not done yet. September 14th, 2022. Gerson Hernandez is in line at a Hempstead McDonald's. He orders and then he sits down at the counter to wait for his food. As he's staring out the window, he notices a man in a gray shirt riding a skateboard. His eyes instantly light up as he believes the man is a member of 18th Street. So he instantly hops up and runs into the parking lot. Without saying a single word, sadly, this was yet another case of mistaken identity.
Bruh, that's the sad part, bro. Like, they just killing, like, nobodies. Like, niggas that ain't got nothing to do with nothing. Like, you don't get cool points for harming people that don't got nothing to do with nothing. You don't get cool points for that, bro. Like, oh, man, yeah, you up to score. Y'all killed so many random niggas that had nothing to do with nothing, bro. Like, civilians, real civilians. It's nothing glorified about that.
There had no affiliations. And after this string of events, police decided to contact the FBI to open a major investigation. So with the help of Homeland Security, local police, the FBI, and the DEA, they made sure to get this done. For months and months, they investigated everything they could until they built a major case. On May 21st, 2023, 22 MS members were arrested for incidents dating back to 2016. The biggest name in the indictment is the MS-13 national leader. This would be a dangerous man named Idalilson Velasquez Larin, also known as Paco. Ooh, I know I said that wrong. This is who police believe coordinates everything for MS-13 on a national level, so taking him down is a major deal. But actually, the indictment was the easy part, and now the hard part was finding everyone. Because most of these members don't have American addresses, it's really hard to find out where they are. So within the first week, only 8 of the 22 members were actually found. Even after searching family residences, police could not locate the national leader Paco. But then they find him in the strangest way possible. While driving across the country with his family, Paco's driver gets pulled over for following a car too closely. During the stop, police actually have no idea who he is. And somehow, Paco remains very calm through it all.
You got your license on you? Got your ID on you? How you doing? Doing all right? Is this a rental car?
Yes.
Okay. Did you rent it?
I rent it.
Okay. Do you have...
Now, the secret behind any great burger, of course, is in the color.
You have the rental agreement on you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Last time I used to have to do you need my license?
Yeah, if you got it, that'd be great. Thank you. Here, I'll give this paper back to you. I ask you to see this one right here. Thank you. Does he not speak any English? No. Okay. Well, the reason I got him stopped is because he's following too close. I'm not going to issue him a citation. It's just going to be a warning, okay? All right? Okay, this tailgating.
Yeah, this goes for y'all motherfuckers that be driving them cars, man. I gotta learn. I gotta go back to driving school, bro. Cause the way y'all niggas be driving, y'all niggas drive like y'all don't fucking know what the fuck y'all doing. That's why all these accidents be going on. Y'all drive like y'all in a video game.
Gotta have it back in Denver.
I'm sorry?
Gotta have it back in Denver.
Yes.
Gotcha. On the 13th.
Yes.
Gotcha. Where are you guys heading to?
To New York.
To New York. Gotcha. What takes you to New York?
I'm from New York.
Oh, that's where you're from.
Yeah.
What took you to Colorado?
Work.
Oh, okay.
Better pay.
Okay. Who you work
It
for?
was, Maryland Distance.
All right. All right. I'm not going to issue a citation or anything like that. All right. I'm just going to run your information. Make sure there's no wants and warrants. Make sure you guys are valid to get you out of here. Okay. All right. Thank you. This agent wants to speak to you. He's going to have you step out. Okay. Any pistoles in the car? No. Okay. I'll have you come out here real quick. Any weapons on you or anything?
No.
Pistoles?
No,
okay.
not
Can I
that.
pat you down real quick? I'll check your waistband here real quick. Take your phone out right here, okay?
Uh-huh.
Just gonna put it right there. Alright, come back here for me.
Okay.
Back here. Just stand by here a second, okay? I'm just gonna put you back here for just a second, okay? Just one momento.
No problem.
Alright. Let's have a seat right here, okay?
Okay.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm actually mind blown about how calm everyone was. The DOJ claims that that man is one of the most dangerous men in all of America. And in the indictment, they actually say that he ordered many of the events in this story. Well, after this major takedown, let's hope that things get better in the state of New York. Interestingly enough, the president of El Salvador has put a major stop to both MS and 18th Street. If you don't know anything about that situation, I may cover it in a future video. But for now, that's gonna do it for this episode of Swamp Stories. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. You can also leave a comment letting me know what you want to see next. Peace!